is. And they pull it off horribly. And last but not least, United Passions 2014. Pretty much, it charters the creation of the Federational International de Football Association, aka FIFA. United Passions follows famed businessman turned FIFA president Jules Rimet, João Havelange, and Sepp Blatter, chronicling their contributions toward organizing soccer leagues around the world under a single governing body, as well as developing international competitions, most notably the World Cup. Now, why is this movie horrible? Unlike most entries on this list, United Passions is technically a proficient film. However, the movie has since been dismissed as a corporate self-celebratory fluff, with 90% of the film's financing coming directly from FIFA itself. So, corruption from FIFA feeding into the corruption of film, which goes back to them being positive, which shows that they're even more corruptible. And that is the top 10 worst movies of all time.
Yeah, I mean, Catwoman, I understand why it's a hard movie to watch, but man, Halle Berry looks good. Jack and Jill was probably one of the worst movies Adam Sandler's ever made, but he knows that, and he's bounced back, of course. And then, yeah, it makes sense that number one's FIFA, a FIFA movie that's made by FIFA for FIFA people, and yeah, it's just corruption all around, and we know FIFA's just a corrupt organization anyway. Now, typically, this is where we'd always would say goodbye until next time. But unfortunately, we do have some serious stuff to talk about at the end of the show. So let's get into it briefly. As you guys know, probably the Charlottesville, North Carolina, or Virginia, we had the rally of the white nationalists, as they want to call themselves. Rally in Virginia on Friday. Saturday, there was an anti-protest of that, which led to about 20 people injured and one person was killed. And then, of course, on Monday, you had President attempt to acknowledge it to the best of his ability, and then he failed in that respect, according to a lot of people, social media and the media in general. And then Monday, today, he goes back on his words and doubles down, saying that, that it's from many sides. And he said that on Saturday, and he continues to say that today. And then, of course, yesterday, you had the Antifa people, which is essentially an extremist group on the left side, tear down a statue of Robert E. Lee in North Carolina. Now, it's pretty easy to probably tell based off what you guys have heard from me. I don't know, Tom, and Tom, probably on what sides we'd take on this argument. It just seems that from both sides, there's so much hatred for each other. It just doesn't make sense, and there seems to be more similarities in both than we wish to accept. From both the left and right side. I mean, the tearing down of the Robert E. Lee statue, when I saw it, initially the initial thought is, yes, that's awesome. But when you think about it a little bit more in context, it really comes down to, we're really stooping down to the level of people from these neo-Nazi groups and these so-called white nationalist groups, and really are essentially is almost a terrorist type attack. Again, the Nazis are a little bit more in history, as we all know, in terms of what they're capable of doing. And this alt-left group seems to try to essentially try to Robin Hood that type of vengeance, when clearly, it's just about understanding that hate doesn't equal hate. And as we've said since this presidency has occurred, especially to those who lean a little bit more left than so right, love's going to win out at the end. And I think it's about engaging in conversation, understanding that these people are coming out one way or another, just because they feel like their environment right now allows them to do that. And we have to understand that is not acceptable to have at this point or ever in any aspect. And it's unfortunate now that it's still 2017 and we live in a society where racism is still is rearing its ugly head once again. And again, we know this. History will repeat itself time and time again, but we just have to understand that it is possible to overcome this. It's just a matter of uniting together and understanding that, look, they're going to have an extremist view on things, whether it's the left or the right side, but we need to come together and realize that that's not okay. But whether you're extreme left or you're extreme right, we're all in the middle. I think to a degree we all have to be in the middle and try to move forward with what is this political climate right now to the best of our ability. It seems that as the election is coming about and has affected a lot of people at this point with all these different policies that have been implemented, it's about time that our generation, millennials, are becoming educated in the political process, because we're the majority right now. With all these baby boomers going away after a certain point, it's going to be our turn. As millennials, as Tom and I being millennials, we are the future of the country. So we have to understand what policies we are voting for, not just reading things on social media, not just watching television, but actually reading the paperwork that's going into this, reading the bills that go into this, and be educating yourself more so than just watching a 2-minute video and saying, hey, that's wrong and that's it, because that doesn't do anything. By being proactive in your community is the first step. From there, it's educating yourself in your community and seeing what issues are going on and how to rectify those. Can we do that 100%? No, because I think to a certain point, racism is going to exist till the end of time, and that's an unfortunate but sad truth. But one thing that we can do is understand that we do not accept that racism in any type of environment that is not socially accepted in any cause for any race, any person, any type of sexual identity that you have. And I think that is the main point that we're looking at here. For people saying that the Black Lives Matter movement is such a similar to the Nazis, you've got to be. It's an insane thought, because it doesn't say Black Lives Matter more, but it's just saying Black Lives Matter. Period. We as minorities, we want to just be on the same level, and then clearly the social injustices that have occurred over the last however many years or decades, centuries, really. We're just trying to be at that level. We're trying to be at the same table as white America. We're not trying to take us spots away. We're trying to be at the same level. And is that hard to ask? Is that all? That's all we're asking. We're not trying to overtake you. We're trying to be at your level. We're trying to make sure that at the very least, these social injustices, whether it be through police or through other types of brutality, are minimalized to the best of our ability, because we're, as humans, we're going to commit error every now and then. And again, it happens. And I'm not saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent, but I'm just saying if we can minimize that and understand our community better and educate ourselves better, that's going to be the beginning of a much better future for this country. Tommy, what are your thoughts?
I agree with everything that you've said. For people who know me, I am not a person who is involved in politics too much, nor am I loud or say stuff on Facebook about my views on certain situations that happen around the country. And that's only because, in my way, I'm a religious person. And when I see injustice happening, I don't want to see hate. I want to see love in everybody. And when you do see hate, it brings definitely some big emotions to me, thinking like what I can do to help. My brother and my sister-in-law who live up in Boston right now, they are very active on Facebook, posting messages about our 45th president and what has been happening so far. And it's just, I support them. I definitely support them. Well, what has happened is pretty much showing our country in a disgraceful position, especially when it comes to other countries watching us right now, and it's showing that we have an opening. We have an area that we are weak, and some people can exploit that and further that exploitation to make our country go into chaos. We should not allow this to happen. we need to fix this. Even though it has been a short time since slavery has ended and that we have ended segregation, it's still a fresh wound. It's scabbed over, but some people are still picking at it like it's a fresh wound, and it keeps on opening up. We have to let it heal. We have to bandage it up. We have to, we have to be better than some people before us. And we know this, and we have to discuss. We have to have conversations, like you've said. If we don't, it's just going to fester, get infected, and just keep on growing underneath, and we're going to lose the arm, pretty much. That's my big metaphor. We are the people who are here to change what happens in these United States, and I believe that we are the ones who should speak loudest right now. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah. No, thank you, Tommy. I know I do appreciate your thoughts, and I think, coming from your standpoint is definitely a unique standpoint because of your background. So it's hard to make a stance in that sense. So I completely condone you. I'm very happy for you to at least saying, hey, this is my opinion considering what I'm capable of allowing. So that's awesome. But again, yeah, it's such a difficult situation for both of us, and just trying to understand why we're in this place that we are at. And it simply comes down to just needing to have conversations, as you said. And as I have said previously, it's just, conversation opens up a whole, different environment. It's not just about yelling, screaming, whether you're on the right or left. It really doesn't lead anywhere. And as kids, we know that. I'm sure if you have siblings, you've yelled and screamed. Where does that ever lead? Nothing. That's led to nothing. It's just it's a matter of educating yourself and being more proactive in your community. One way or another. That's the way to do it. Going in on these blogs and professing hate or professing love. That's whatever your spiel is. That only does so much. It's a matter of being active and being available, and I think that's the biggest part because this country's being divided hard right now, and with everything that's going on with overseas, that's also a big topic of what's going on in the media last couple of days. It's just it just comes down to conversation, and understanding that hate has no place anywhere in this country or in the world, and if that's again, it's always about love first, and that's it. Pretty straightforward. So again, thank you guys so much for listening. We always appreciate it. Again, we get a little these topics are a little bit difficult to understand to talk about because we're primarily a sports podcast. But hey, we try to use our platform to what we can, good, bad, or indifferent, and we try to express the whole view, not just one side. We try to express it in an objective manner. And again, this topic was difficult to talk about in an objective manner, but if you do talk about things objectively, it leads to open conversation and how we can improve, not only as Democrats, Republicans, whatever you pick, but as people too. And I think that's what's most important. So thank you guys so much for your time. We really do appreciate it. We're at 1,014 hits to start off. Again, Again, it's trying to get slow, but once we get into football season, we're going to get really good and get going. We got some good EPL coming up. La Liga starts up next weekend, so we're in a couple weeks, so that'll be pretty good. We're going to talk about some preseason rankings in the NFL, some college football quarterback rankings. The quarterback position looks really good. When it comes to what we're going to produce for talent at the next level. So we'll talk about that and so much more. We got baseball coming down the wire, all big topics because that's what we do here on the Spicy Sports Show with Sam Stone and Tom Crane. So we're going to run it out with some music. Of course, we always have Avicii Kygo mixes. So that's what we're going to throw it out with on the Spicy Sports Show with Sam Stone and Tom Crane. Till next time, see ya.
Peace.
All the corners of the universe pull you down. All the hope in the world is done. you know that you shine like an ending